Hi, I'm Rachel Tessman from StampYourArtOut.com, and today I'd like to share with you some fun alternate project ideas that I created using the contents of the February 2018 Paper Pumpkin Kit from Stampin' Up, titled Wildflower Wishes. This kit came straight to my mailbox and contained all of these papers, adhesives, embellishments, and tools that I need to make the intended cards. As a subscriber, I really love that I get a new stamp set and an ink pad, sometimes two, that I can continue to use even after a kit is completed. All I need to provide is my clear block so I can use my stamps, and a free one was included with my first kit, and my scissors. Each kit also contains a mini publication with written directions and photos, and a link to a how-to video. I've shared alternate ideas with every single kit, so if you have past kits, be sure to check out all my other videos and visit my blog to see more. You can also explore alternate project ideas on Pinterest, with Google searches, on the Paper Pumpkin Fan Club on Facebook, and through other videos here on YouTube. Plus, if you decide to give Paper Pumpkin Kits a try and you subscribe with me as your demonstrator, I'll email you lots more ideas each month that are exclusive to my subscribers only. These kits are a Stampin' Up! Product, so the colors, images, and supplies coordinate with many other Stampin' Up! Products. I'll be using a few of those extra supplies as I share my unique projects. You can find these items listed below and linked to my online store. You can also look below for links to learning more about Paper Pumpkin Kits, starting your subscription, renewing your subscription, rewards that you can earn when purchasing a prepaid subscription during celebration, joining my Paper Pumpkin Fan Club on Facebook, and seeing peeks of some exclusives that I send my personal subscribers. If you're watching my video on YouTube, you can also click on the link below that will lead you to my website where I've shared close-up photos of what I'll be sharing today. Let's get started. These are the pretty cards that you can make if you follow the instructions in the kit. They're gorgeous, aren't they? I love them. The one thing that bothered me though on all of these is that the floral background was very distracting and it was hard to see those letters through the lighter Sahara sand piece here. So let's just go ahead and take, for example, that celebrate word here, and we'll peel that off. And we'll put it against just a solid color, okay? So against garden green, one of the colors that coordinates in the kit, you can see it really stands out if you put it against just a solid background. There it is against basic black. Or you can even get fancy, and we've got some glimmer paper out there in our online store. This is our Myths and Magic glimmer paper. But just even against, instead of using the floral side here, you can use the white side and add those flower stickers that come in the kit for decorating the envelopes around it. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and just add this as is. Hang on to all of these little inside pieces. You're going to need those later. So we have our piece done, and if we compare cards here, we can see that we have flower embellishments down here and up here, and they're stamped on there. But we don't have all of those bright colors, so we want to use the stickers. We're going to do those around this celebrate, and I'm going to stamp directly onto the little piece here instead of stamping onto the vellum. So we're going to take one of our blocks, and this is the ergonomic style blocks that you can find in the online store. We're going to peel off the backing for the stamp pad here, and that exposes your little clear stamps, and you'll just place that on there. And I'm also going to use the ink pad from our online store, the Garden Green, because it's a lot bigger and quicker for doing videos. So we'll stamp that right along the bottom here. Celebrate your awesomeness. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and add the little twine going around here. I noticed that this time I didn't see the length of twine that you should use for each card, but it does say on the back that we have 9 yards of this twine. So if you're making 9 cards, you can use seriously a whole yard for each card. I use slightly under a yard. That's 3 feet, right? So it works. Okay, then we're just going to wrap this around and tie it in a little knot. I like to tie it in a knot first because then I can adjust it and then figure out where my bow is going to go. So I think I wanted it right around there. And I did shift it. What I did is I took the whole piece here and I just shifted either way so that I could have my knot right on the edge. The Celebrate little panel here that goes on top is quite long. On the other two cards, it's not as long, so you could have your twine, the bow of your twine a little bit further in on the card. I also like leaving that little curly look on the twine. So, but if that bugs you, you can take and straighten out your twine just by pulling it like this in one length and then taking and running your fingers between it, and it straightens out your twine. Okay, so now let's go ahead and pop that up on dimensionals. I know a lot of you are saying, oh my gosh, she's not using the flowers side. It is so pretty, isn't it? But you've got a lot of flowers in the kit, and you can always buy refills. At least right now as I'm recording this, they're in the online store. Speaking of refills, that is a Paper Pumpkin subscriber perk. You cannot get refills unless you're actually a current active subscriber. Okay, so still, it's looking a little plain. We need some color in there, some flowers, but the words stand out a whole lot more. So let's go ahead and add that to the front, and for quickness, instead of the glue dots in the kit, which are great, but they're a little tedious, I like to use my tape runner adhesive. This is our snail adhesive. Okay, and now we can bring in all those little fun stickers. And it's done. And I didn't add any extra supplies from elsewhere. I just used the kit supplies to make this version. I think the word celebrate stands out a little bit more, and we still have just as much color, if not more, in our card. Let's go ahead and do another alternate project. One thing I thought of when I saw this kit was the eclipse cards that are so popular nowadays. And I thought it's going to look really good if I could do an eclipse against a black card background. So we went ahead and we stamped a little pattern on our thank you piece here. I'm just going to peel this up. I'm going to place that down directly right on top of our half sheet of cardstock that's been scored. Let's see here. Here's the half sheet. I scored it at 4 1/4 inches, so it's cut to 5 1/2 inches by 8 1/2. And that's with the help of this paper trimmer. Next, what we'll do, the little scissors there to hold that down, is we're going to take our little dimensionals in the kit and we're going to pop up these letters so that they stand up and away from the word thank you in black. But before we do that, I want to go ahead and add some of these vellum accent pieces behind before our sticker sheet completely bonds with the black, because I forgot to do that. So in hindsight, you might want to put the letter inside pieces down first before you add the full letter. Let's go ahead and add this to the inside. We have the perfect layer for inside our card. Coordinates with the color on the outside. And there it is. There's the finished card. And I love the stamping on there when it pops up with the letters as well. I think it really adds a lot to it. The vellum against the black is just striking. I hope you enjoyed that card. I have some more to share with you now. You don't have to own a ton to do alternate projects with these kits. In fact, you could already see from the first couple cards there that all I added so far was just basic black cardstock. And we could have just flipped over the white card, you know, done this side instead and had the white as the base for that eclipse card. But it's always fun to have extra stuff. And a couple things that I highly recommend besides the trimmer, having your paper snips, of course, and maybe even the snail adhesives to make it a little bit quicker with adding adhesive, is a basic basic black ink pad, and if you've been a subscriber before, you should have one of these little ink spot colors on hand, the black, and then note cards and envelopes. And I prefer Whisper White, but we also have them in Very Vanilla. So you can make your kit go a lot farther if you have these note cards, because if you do all the cards as is, let's say you do all of these as is, you still have these stamps, right? And these stamps have, in this kit at least, we have the Celebrate, Friend, and Thank You images still, so we can continue to make cards that have to do with those themes. And all we need is a white note card, basic black ink, and then what's in the kit to add a little bit more to our supply of greeting cards. Let's go ahead and start. The black ink is a little bit different than some of our other inks. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp on scrap paper a couple times. And you'll see that I didn't get a completely dark black image. That ink has to kind of bond with the stamp a bit. Sometimes there's a coating on the stamps too. But the more I stamp with it, the more that ink is ready to be used with that stamp. It's getting darker and darker. Okay, I think we're ready to roll. So now what I want to do is I'm going to pull in one of the flower images, one of these, and we're going to stamp Big Time, the little phrase Big Time across it. And then we're going to lift that one up, and we're going to place it onto our clear block so that we can kind of get some spacing here. Celebrate Big Time. And now I'm going to go ahead and ink this up and stamp it onto our card. Now, as with pretty much all ink colors, photopolymer stamp images, those stamps are more porous, so they're going to absorb the ink and it's going to stain. I did clean off these stamps right away and they still stained, and that's okay. They're still usable. So just keep that in mind, those of you that are new to stamping, that your ink is going to stain, especially with the darker colors or the redder colors. Okay, now we've got the Celebrate on there. Let's go ahead and add our little flower that we decorated up here. And we're going to add that on dimensionals. But before we actually tack it down, I want to stick some of those vellum. I love the vellum leaf accents that are in this kit. So let's go ahead and grab a couple of those. Taking the backings off of the dimensionals here. Okay, so let's take some of those and just pop them behind where they look good. And then we'll just set that right down like that on the card. Celebrate Big Time. Super easy card to make. You're going to have leftover flower stickers unless you really slather your envelopes with them. Here's another version, the Thank You Big Time. So quick and easy, using the stamps, the extra flower pieces that you're going to have left over, and the note cards. Our box this month contained this flyer, so heads up, we are celebrating 5 years of Paper Pumpkin. So the March kit will contain a free bonus goodie. 5 years. Wow, that is how long I have been on YouTube. It just hit me. Oh my gosh. My first video was when the very first Paper Pumpkin kit came out back in March of 2013. I guess time flies when you're having fun. So if you are a traditional 12 by 12 size page scrapbooker like me, and if you've been following my videos, you probably already have a good supply of this, but you want to have a stash of 12 by 12 black, basic black cardstock. It is one of the best colors to add to any of the Paper Pumpkin kits for scrapbooking. So we're going to use that as our base. We're also going to add in some vellum, which you can get in our online store. And remember I told you to save all of these little letters that are left over? We're going to do some fun wordplay with them. So what kind of words can you see in all of these letters? I found the word birthday. You can actually spell birthday. You can spell the word teen. So if you have a teen and you're celebrating their birthday in scrapbook pages, you could have teen birthday. You might be able to spell somebody's name, someone that you know. There are lots of flower images in this kit, as you can see from all the stickers. And so then I thought, oh, let's see if we can spell something like that. And you can find the word floral in here. Not flower, but floral. You can, though, take one of these and substitute it for a letter. So for example, if you want to spell the word flower, you could do F-L-O, and then W could be a flower, and then E-R. And then if you're going to do that, you could do flower day. Let's say you're planting flowers one day, or you're picking flowers, or you're at a garden that you're scrapbooking some event where you go to beautiful gardens or whatever. So you could put flower day as your title, or flowerful, like powerful, only flowerful. But what we're going to do for our scrapbook page is we're going to do flower fun. All right, so let's take our vellum and trim that to a couple strips of 1 1/8 inch wide. So we're just placing it in our trimmer here at the 1 inch mark, and then 2 little dashes over is our 1 1/8 inch spot. And we'll slice that, and then we'll do another piece here. These pieces are just tall enough to get the letters on. Now if you're going to have a Y and a tall letter in there, so that you can see the Y dips down, if you're going to have that and say a T or an H or whatever, then you'll want to make this wider. But I don't have any Y's in my title, so let's set that aside. In fact, let's have the black sort of as our base so we can see the vellum a little bit better. And let's scoot it over towards the end. Flower fun. The next step that we're going to do is a little bit of trimming. So on this end here, I'm going to go ahead and mark a spot using my ruler. This is 1 1/8 inch wide. So we want to go about halfway between, which is just over the 1/2 inch mark. And I'm just going to make a little hole right about there in my vellum. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing to this other piece. You can use like a piercer or a pin too if you want to. But we just wanted to make a little mark there. And now we're going to trim from each corner, this corner to that hole and this corner to that hole. And you actually want to go probably a little beyond it so that you don't have that funny hole shape right in the center. So now what we're doing is we're creating little banner ends. And that's a trick for doing it. And you could have this hole further out or further in, but just as long as it's in the middle and you go corner to that spot and corner to that spot, you can get the perfect little banner. Okay, another cut that we're going to do is with our paper trimmer. Now these pieces, again, they're 1 1/8 inch wide, and this piece here is wider. It's 1 5/8 inches. And so the difference is a 1/2 inch, right? So that means there's a 1/4 inch on each side. When we lay this on top, we can see that there's a 1/4 inch on each side. So that would bring one of our cuts to 1 3/8 inches. And what I mean by that, you'll see here. Okay, so we're going to go from this corner to the 1 3/8 inch mark, and we're going to trim it up. And that's going to sit right here on this long banner. This is going to go across it so that we have the bottom edge of our vellum meeting up with the bottom edge of that cut. And then this one will just get tucked underneath and meet up with the bottom edge of this. Does that make sense? We basically shortened this, but we wanted to hide the seam. So from here to there is 1 3/8 inches. I know. Math. Okay, so we've got that cut and ready to go. And then the last step is cutting some of our photo mats. And I always love using the card bases for photo mats. If you just cut them right in half, you have the perfect photo mat for a digital size photo. So we've got 2 of those ready to go. And then I'm going to cut this one down in half, but I'm also going to cut it in half again, one of the pieces down in half again. Okay, so I'll take this one here and I'll cut that to 2 3/4 inches. So now we have 2 smaller little photo frames. One thing that I think I forgot to mention earlier is I started my letters on this end of the vellum because I didn't want them to fall off the end of the vellum or go too close to the edge. So by starting backwards, I was able to make sure that they fit exactly where I wanted them to go. Okay, for these 2 pieces here, this is the one that measures 1 3/8 inches. That will bring the bottom edge of this down to the bottom edge of the vellum when it's underneath. So I'm going to place this piece, I'm not sticking it down, I'm just using this little piece here as a guide, and I'm placing it on top so that the bottom edge, the corners here, meet up with the bottom edge of this longer piece. And now this one I'm going to place on top so that these 2 top corners meet up with the top edge. And now I'm going to figure out where this is going to go behind here. I want it to frame that flower. So I'm going to go ahead and put some adhesive behind the flower. And using this bottom edge here as a guide, I'm going to place that flower in the center, lined up, right about there. And then this piece will go behind and frame the rest of the word, but see, it's too short, so we have to trim it. So we're going to go ahead and just trim it so that it is cut somewhere back here, because we want to have about that much sticking out underneath the left edge there. See where it says FL? So if we can take and just trim it right back here, and it doesn't have to be any fancy cut, right about there. I probably should have cut it a little bit further to the left, but we'll make it work. So next, if you're doing this, trim in closer. All right, we have our frame behind there. Now I don't want to put too much adhesive back here because we want to be able to tuck some flowers back there. So I'm just going to go right through the middle. And we're going to add that to our page, centered between our already placed photo mats here. And for the coordinating page, this piece of vellum is going to come out the other side. And we're going to add lots of flowers tucking in and around the vellum. So let's go ahead and bring this piece in and add this vellum. Now with this vellum here, we're going to have some flowers on top of it too, because otherwise we're going to see the adhesive on the vellum. So let's just go ahead and place our vellum where it needs to be. And we'll start tucking and adding. Hey, just thought of something. Let's put a photo mat right there. Okay, let's add that right on top of the vellum here. Okay, make sure it's where we want it to be. We'll do a vertical photo. That'll take care of that. And then we can add adhesive right there. Okay, so I added all the flowers, and I just tucked in, underneath the vellum, all the little pieces, all the little stickers. Some of them I cut, like this piece here is a shorter sticker. This one here, I didn't even have the whole stem on. I think this one is even a half a flower. Let's pull it out here and we can see. This one might be a half flower. Maybe it's a whole one. Nope, that's a half one. So yeah, just making the most of them by cutting them in half so that you can really fill in. So I think these two were both the same flower, and I just cut it into two pieces. And then just adding the little pearls. So I just put flowers here and there along those two pages, and now I'm going to add a little bow. So I just took some of the twine, tied it in a bow, rolled up a glue dot. So I took the glue dot carefully off of the glue dot sheet and took my fingernail and just rolled it. And so it's really thin, and it's right behind the knot of that bow. And then we can just kind of let those fun little curly cues of the twine go wherever. Of course, these will be in page protectors once they're in a book. Another idea that I had was to add these two little banners. This could maybe be put on top of a photo after it's added to the mat. You can just glue dot it on there and write something significant about it, maybe where you were at when you were finding all these flowers, or I don't know, maybe this one here could be tucked underneath this flower, and you could write on there the date, the year and the month that you had this flower garden, or that you visited the special gardens in another state. So anyways, let me zoom out so you can see the whole spread. So here we go. There are the 12 by 12 pages that I made with the kit. I have one other project to show you, and it's a mini album. We'll need a couple extra supplies from the online store in order to make our mini album. The 1/8 inch hole punch will be perfect for this, and we're going to use some of the Crushed Curry satin stitch ribbon. This might be a little wide, but we're going to make it work. And then we'll also need some envelopes from the kit. I'm going to use 4. You could certainly put 6 in your album. And then some card-based pieces for photo matting. Plus the embellishments from the kit. We're going to need those too. But let's work with making the base part of our mini album. So bring in your trimmer, and we're going to take and use the measurements on this side of the trimmer. Flip your envelope over. Make sure that the part that is closed is towards the measurements that we're going to need. So you're going to go up to the 1/2 inch and then a couple marks beyond. This is going to be the 5/8 inch mark. Zoom in a little bit so you can see here. So it's not this mark, but it's this one here. So let's go ahead and bring that right in there and do a score line. Let's do that on the remaining 3 pieces. And now we're going to put our envelopes together so that we have the floral part of the envelope meeting up with each other for every set. So here's another set of envelopes. And we'll put those together on top of each other with all the binding meeting up at the bottom here. And now you can take your ruler and you can mark a half of an inch in on each end of your first envelope. And then that mark can be smack dab in the center between the score line and the edge. So just move it into the center there. And I'll fold this so you can see what I mean here. So there's where the crease is. Here's where our marks are. And you're going to go ahead and punch. Now you could probably punch through 2 envelopes together, but don't do too many more than that at a time. All right, so all our holes are lined up, and now we're going to need a length of ribbon to go through. I recommend trimming at an angle, and this is going to be the front of our album, so we're going to go down and back up. Okay, next you want to make sure that it's flat on the back and that you've got enough to do a bow. 22 inches of ribbon. And now we're ready to embellish. I'm going to use a post-it note to pick up this whole word, thank, and I want to see part of the word. So I'm just going to peel this back and lift the post-it note up like that. Now I have the whole word thank on there, and I can just transfer it just like that to my album. And then I want to add the word FUL, or the suffix FUL onto the end, so I can just go ahead and grab those last 3 letters. I don't have any more U's left. I guess I'm going to have to flip one of my N's around. There we go. Perfect title for an album. We're going to add some flowers. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and add some photo mats to the inside. So you want to get those creases going on your album so you can open it up. For this spread, we're going to go ahead and just add these 2 pieces right in here. And you'll be able to put a full-size photo in there. I left a little room for journaling underneath. And for these pages, you could actually slip photos inside here, or you can put photos here. So you could take a card-based piece, for example, and cut it. I'll show you here. Cut it in half, and then cut that in half again. And these size pieces would fit on here pretty well. I'm going to leave it like this though, because this would be where more journaling goes, and this is where some photos would go. So if you can imagine, here's a tucked in photo, and it just peeks out a little bit more than it would normally in an envelope because we have that binding there. So you can see the hint of a photo here and all the journaling. And of course all the flower embellishments. We'll just add a few more flower embellishments to the page, and then we'll have a finished mini album. Alright, let me show you what I've put on each page. So here's the cover again. Got a few pearls in there. I think the pearls I'd only put on the front though, because you want your album to be able to close. You don't want too much in there. Also have a dimensional under that flower. And then on this page, lots of writing. Photos can be tucked in here. And then I have a couple flower embellishments here with those vellum little accents. I think you just saw this one. Has some vellum leaves, and then a couple more of the flowers that were from the front. And then on this page we have a couple more flowers that we haven't used yet, the stickers, and some vellum floral pieces there. So that's the last project for the video. I hope you enjoyed this. Celebration is here. This is the best time of year to purchase Paper Pumpkin kits in 3, 6, or 12-month prepaid bundles. If you purchase a prepaid, then you can pay as little as $17.92 per month in the US and get free products from the Celebration brochure and possibly free products through our Stampin' Rewards program. Click on the link below to learn more about these rewards that you can earn when purchasing prepaid subscriptions during Celebration. Thank you for watching. It builds creativity to think outside the box. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can catch more Paper Pumpkin videos that I've shared using past kits and more that I'll share with future kits. Also, be sure to visit my website at stampyourout.com so that you can view close-up photos of these projects, see photos of other Paper Pumpkin kit ideas, and see many other great ideas that I share using Stampin' Up! Products. If you're watching my video on YouTube, look for the links in my description below. And remember, to see some extra exclusive Paper Pumpkin project ideas, get your subscription started with me as your demonstrator. I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial. Now I'd like you all to go and stamp your art out. Bye-bye.